Alright, hey folks, this is Chris Lucas of the ProtestantView.com. I'm also known on YouTube as Liquid Smooth, and I also have another channel on YouTube called The Protestant View. Anyway, today I'm doing a video about this new video WND released, WorldNet Daily or WND.com, which is supposed to be a conservative right-wing publication, but I call them telling a lot of lies and working with the enemy. I'm going to show you that these people are actually a bunch of traitors to America, and they're purposely promoting disinformation. And oddly enough, their new book that they're promoting on their website is called Disinformation. And it's basically what this book is supposed to be is, well, right here it says it right in the title. This is the title of their book, by the way. Disinformation. Former spy chief reveals secret strategies for undermining American freedom, attacking religion, and promoting terrorism. And basically, this guy, Pacepa, this is how you would pronounce his last name. He's a Russian defector. And he's supposed to be like the highest ranking Russian to ever defect to America. And he's supposed to be revealing all these like secrets about what the Russians have been up to and what the Russians are doing to our country. WND had this article that came out a few days ago. And it's churches denouncing Zimmerman exposed. Well, in it, they were supposed to get information from the same Russian. And basically this Russian was telling them how the National Council of Churches are working with the Russians, or Russians are controlling the National Council of Churches and the World Council of Churches. And basically promoting all this racial tension about the Zimmerman verdict. And he's basically saying, you know, the Russians are actually behind all this. Because down here it says, from the book's prelude, in March 1996, a sensational story jolted the American conscience. The National Council of Churches and the Center for Democratic Renewal, two secretly Marxist organizations headquartered in the United States, held a joint press conference to announce a huge increase in the number of arson cases committed against black churches in the United States. Now this basically goes on to, you know, talk about how Bill Clinton denounced those fires in a radio address, and he proposed a new federal task force to investigate them. The president spoke with emotion about his own vivid and painful memories of black churches being burned in his own state of Arkansas when he was a child. So, and basically this goes on to say how all those accounts by Clinton were false, and they probably were false. It was probably all concocted. And a bunch of lies to try to promote, you know, that there is more racism going on than what there really is, and that, you know, Clinton's gonna take and help fix that. But my problem is not, you know, in revealing that, it's saying that the National Council of Churches are actually working with the Soviet intelligence. And they say that they said, and he goes on to say the the National Council of Churches parent organization, the World Council of Churches, Pacepa points out, actually instigated the church arson disinformation campaign. So, and I'm just pointing out, you know, basically, you know, where I stumbled across this video, because it's like down here, You know, you can start to see them promoting this video more. But I don't think Russia was really behind any of this. If anything, I think the Vatican, working with our own government, was behind pushing this disinformation, because I believe the Vatican actually runs the World Council of Churches, and because everyone's been, a lot of people have been saying these are all ecumenical organizations anyway, the National Council of Churches and the World Council of Churches. Okay, so you know the Vatican really runs those places anyway. It's not Russia, it's Vatican, and Vatican is a country. Okay, but down here here are just some more things about this video that they say they're going to reveal. And I'm going to tell you that some of these are lies, like how Pope Pius XII, a generation ago, the world's highest profile Christian leader who personally saved countless Jews from Hitler's Holocaust, was transformed through the magic of disinformation into a Nazi sympathizer. And this guy goes on to say that that Russia was behind promoting all this information to connect Pope Pius and Hitler together. And we know this is a lie because, you know, the Catholic Church and the Vatican was involved with the Ustashi, who were doing the exact same things as the Nazis. In fact, they were running, they had a Catholic Inquisition going on where they were killing all the gypsies, Orthodox Christians, Jews, and a lot of people said Jasenovic was one of the cruelest concentration camps there ever was. They're way worse than anything going on in Nazi Germany. And this had Catholic priests running it. Antipavelek, you know, got awards from the Pope. And for anyone to say that the Catholic Church did not know this was going on, everyone knows, or most people know, that the Catholic Church has one of the best intelligence gathering mechanisms in the world, because you got Catholics everywhere. You don't have just, are you sure you don't have just one of them that's gonna reveal something about something going on? Because they definitely had them littered all throughout the Ustashi, and not one of them said something that got back to a priest that got back to the Pope. I mean, because like a lot of these priests, it's like having spies. It's like the Pope having spies. And to say that not one word would have got back to the Pope about any of this, to me, is ridiculous. But then when you go on and read it, if you, I don't want to make this video too long, but if you go in to actually do this research yourself about the Ustashi, you will see that there's no way the Pope did not know about the Ustashi. Okay, and if you do the research about, you know, when the Vatican was, the Pope was signing all these concordats with Hitler, you will see that he was doing this well after they were, the Nazis were instituting forced sterilization programs against the Jews. And to say that, you know, Pope Pius saved thousands of Jews, or countless Jews, I mean, how high can you count? Is it like you just can't, you got two hands, that's as high as you can count? Because he didn't save that many Jews. I mean, I just think that whoever wrote this is stupid when they said countless, because they can't count that high. He didn't save countless Jews. I mean, I bet I could count how many Jews he saved. Because I don't need just my fingers to count. And I doubt I wonder if he even saved that many. I mean, unless it was just like the ones that were like double crossing everybody or something. Maybe there was a few of them that they saved. See, and you know, down here another thing in the book, it says, you know, he's going to reveal about how supposedly respectable institutions like the World Council of Churches have long been infiltrated and controlled by Russian intelligence. There's also, oh, this one's a big lie right here. How the Soviet bloc planted 4,000 agents of influence in the Islamic world, armed with hundreds and thousands of copies of the most infamous anti-Semitic book in history, to fan the flames of ancient Arab resentments against the U.S. and Israel, and now sowed the seeds of anti-Semitism that would later bloom in the form of violence and terror towards Jews and Christians. But what is this hundreds of thousands of copies of the most infamous anti-Semitic book in history? Which book could that possibly be? Could it maybe be the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, which the Vatican wrote? And for proof of that, on my site, The Protestant View, I have this article by Leo Lehman, and you folks can go to my site and read it. I'm not going to make this video last like hours long, but it will show you how just by reading the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion, if you just read it yourself and you just kind of think a little bit, you could see that the Vatican probably wrote it. I mean, I could see it without reading this Leo Lehman article when I read the Protocols of Zion myself, and I had my suspicions. But I mean, like, he really explains it pretty clear how just by reading it, you can pretty much see that the Vatican wrote the book, or that someone within the Catholic Church, some Roman Catholic, wrote this book. And it's really weird because all the things that the Protocols of Zion accuse the Jews of doing, you see the Catholics doing them systematically. Because as the Catholic Church's influence has grown and grown, and as their people have taken almost all of our government offices, and how we don't have any Protestants in any of our high government offices. We don't even have a Protestant on the Supreme Court in our countries. Over 50% Protestant. We don't even have one Protestant on the Supreme Court. Not one Protestant. Okay? And so as they've grown in influence, do you see that the Protocols of Zion, that it's actually coming to fulfillment? But hey, is it more Jews getting into power in government, or is it more Roman Catholics? Which our founding fathers kept warning us about, because before the Catholics got on the education boards and started getting rid of all the history out of our schools, we used to teach about how why did the early Americans brave crossing the seas, the oceans, just to come to America? Why did they brave crossing that big old ocean just to come to America? And knowing that they were never going to probably go back home again, because it's not very common to travel those kinds of distances in those days, considering how long it took to travel those distances. It's not something that anyone can easily do, especially once you have a family. You can pretty much, you're pretty much never going to see your homeland again. So to leave your homeland is a pretty big commitment. So there must be something big going on that you must have been trying to flee from. And chances are it was probably because you wanted freedom of religion. You wanted to be free from the Catholic rule. You wanted something better. And so they were crossing the ocean to actually get away from the Catholics. That's what I come to understand. And so America was very Protestant in its founding, and we never saw any of these horrible things we're seeing today in America. But as the Catholic Church has taken over, we do see all these things. We see all the Protocols of Zion coming to fulfillment. But it's not the Jews doing it. And folks, you know what, let's do a quick search to see who, and we're just going to go on Google do a little search. Now this guy, Ronald Rychlak, he's the co-author of that disinformation book. So he's pretty much like the main author. He's the one who I always see speaking in all these Google videos. Just going to do a little search on him. Okay. Now, isn't this curious? Rychlak is a Roman Catholic and belongs to the Fellowship of Catholic Scholars. Could this be another case of WND just trying to cover up for the Vatican and promoting this guy who's probably promoting some fake Russian defector? I wonder if this guy's even a real Russian defector. This Pacepa, or whatever his name is, Pacepa. Is he really a real Russian defector? Because he's sure promoting a lot of disinformation. I mean, like that stuff I showed you, all those titles down here, like all these things that this book's supposed to be about. This is half the stuff you can prove it's wrong. So if you can prove half this stuff's wrong, I mean, the other stuff I haven't even looked into it yet. But I tend to wonder if this guy's a real defector, and even if he is, I mean, what if he's like a double agent and he's just feeding you a bunch of lies? Doesn't anyone in our government check into this? Doesn't WND check into this? But see, I'm beginning to think that they know he's lying. They know these are lies, and they're using this Russian agent, a former Russian spy, that they're using him as a reason to try to pull the wool over all your eyes. Because I see no validity to what this guy is saying, but yet WND wants to keep promoting it. But then again, this is the same website that removed all my comments about the Catholic Church being behind amnesty, and about the Catholic Church being behind so many of these other things, and yet now they just happen to be promoting a book by a Catholic author who looks like he's printing a bunch of disinformation to cover up for the Vatican. So WND is a mouthpiece for the same people that are betraying us. And, another question I got to ask folks is, you always hear about Russia and the U.S. working together in technology. They work together against the threat of nuclear terrorism. What's some of these other ones they do? They work together on the anti-smoking guidelines. So they work together on a lot of things. Could they also be working together on this where Russia knows this guy's a fake Russian? Russia knows this agent's feeding them a bunch of lies, and I guess what I'm trying to say is, do they know that the United States and the Vatican is using this Russian just to lead people away from the Vatican, and that Russia doesn't mind the finger being pointed at Russia? Because Russia might think, oh, we can just tell our people this is just that American propaganda and blah, 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 whatever they tell them. But in actuality, they're actually working with America to deceive the American citizens. Because they work with America on all this other stuff. Why wouldn't they work to deceive the American citizens also? U.S. and Russia work together at securing Olympics. Hey, U.S. and Russia, there should be a headline, work together at deceiving Americans. Maybe Russia and the Vatican are working together to deceive Americans, and high-ranking United States officials that are associated with the Vatican, affiliated with the Vatican, or Roman Catholics and Jesuits themselves, maybe they're all working together to deceive the American people. This is something you're not going to see Alex Jones say, you're not going to see Chris Green say. You know, why was I the one to stumble across this and uncover this? Why haven't any of them talked about these fakes out there, or how they're using these Russian agents who might not even really be Russian agents to promote propaganda, to mislead the American people? Why aren't any of these other truthers out there doing this? Why is it me? You know, I mean, like, they got time, folks. They get all this money from people. Alex Jones can do this full-time. Here I am. I'm working a full-time job, trying to raise a family. I got very little free time. I get very little sleep. My mind does not work as good as it could work if I actually got sleep. You know, if I was actually paid to do this stuff and I could stay at home and get proper sleep, my mind would be pretty sharp. And I would have probably figured this out about a month ago when they were trying to do this stuff and promote all these lies. But, you know, but here's Alex Jones, Chris Green, all these other guys, man, that can do this stuff full time, and they can't figure this out. I mean, am I that much smarter than them, or are they purposely misleading you and deceiving you? Because why can't they figure this out? And folks, you know, I'm not really saying, people, please donate to me. I'm just saying, if you're going to donate to them, please donate to me instead. That's all. That's all I'm saying. You know? Or if you would like to see them exposed and you don't donate to them, you know, donate to me. Or, you know, if your church is not telling you this stuff, you know, maybe you should cut down your tithes to your church, since your church is sort of like not really leading you into light and, you know, letting you know what's going on. Because, I mean, I think, you know, like when your church doesn't talk about this stuff and they just, like, start saying, oh, we just want to preach Jesus, and people will figure it out if we just preach Jesus. Because I've been through so many churches that say that, too. I actually think they're working with these people. They're not trying to lead you to light. And, you know, folks, I'm just trying to tell you about what's going on before it's too late. Because, you know, once they fully take over and implement everything, it will be too late. You know? I like to show people something, you know, if you've never seen it before. See, Catholic magazine. And this is a Catholic magazine called Commonwealth. Look at this headline. The Catholic takeover of the U.S. is almost complete. This is printed in December 19th, 2012. Okay? So, folks, they are openly saying this. This is no longer a conspiracy. But, you know, I had some people in the Tea Party. One person at least, not the people who come out to the Tea Party, people who are at the top of the Tea Party try to say, Chris, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you shouldn't talk about this stuff. No, folks, if it's almost complete, maybe we should be talking about it. When they're running the whole government, and they're the ones trying to pass amnesty, and they're the ones getting $2 billion a year from the U.S. government, maybe we should talk about this. And when you have people like WND who are supposed to be, you know, looking out for you, oh yeah, we're right-wingers, we're going to expose Obama, and Obama's birth certificate's fake, and all that, because Joseph Farah, he's the guy who runs WND, and he's the one who was like all about Obama's birth certificate. But why hasn't that gone anywhere? Well, why don't we hear any kind of court cases about that? See, what I think it is, folks, is that they have this Catholic named Sheriff Joe. I can't think of his last name, but a lot of people just refer to him as Sheriff Joe. I think it's like Arpero or something like that. I can't think of his last name. But anyway, this Sheriff Joe guy, he's a Roman Catholic. Now, maybe he is on purposely not following the correct suits, not, approaching this thing the right way, making it sound like he's trying to, but there's all these other people that are working against him. Maybe that's all a bunch of lies. And maybe it's just not going anywhere because he's a Roman Catholic and he's on purposely going about it all the wrong way. And maybe he's not speaking out about the other details that are very important because he's a Roman Catholic and he doesn't want to see this actually go anywhere. I mean, it's like when I see the people leading the 9/11 truth movement, and they're like Alex Jones, and they're connected to the Catholic Church, and the 9/11 movement doesn't go anywhere, I start to wonder if that's done on purpose. Because, you see Alex Jones running around with Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen, who's a Roman Catholic. And Charlie Sheen said all that anti-Semitic stuff. And then Alex Jones is still hanging out with them, not offended by it, not upset by it at all. But then again, this is the same Alex Jones that removes any comments you make about Knights of Malta from his website. I saw that in a video. Don't know if he still does it or not, but Derek in the Midwest, that's DEREK, Derek in the Midwest, on YouTube, he showed all this stuff on videos where you can see it yourself, and you can see Alex Jones covering up for the Vatican. And it's not the first. I mean, I used to listen to Alex Jones and hear callers call up his website, and Jason Burmis got so mad at one caller. He's like, "Man, our experts aren't good enough for you," and just starts flying off the handle for no reason, all because some guy says, "You know what?" And he was like so nice about the whole show and everything. He's like, "Yeah, just like anyone who listens, just maybe check out Jack Chick." And that's all. He just said the words Jack Chick, and it made Burmis freak out. Now Jack Chick, if you look at it, man, he says a lot of true things, tons of true things. It's all about the Vatican. I've not seen him lie. I haven't seen anything that Jack Chick. Now maybe he has. I personally haven't read it, but I have not seen any lies. It seems like it's all truth. So why would someone go so nuts? Like Jason Burmis went nuts like Jack Chick was a disinfo agent. But you go check out his work. How much is disinfo? I mean, really? All those other people that they have on Alex Jones's show, and you're going to fly off and get mad about Jack Chick when I think the other people on his show have more disinformation about him and are more misleading than Jack Chick, and yet you're gonna go. I mean, you're almost gonna blow blood vessels out of your skull just because some person mentioned that name. But notice, Jason Burmis on that show, he never, said, "Oh, Jack Chick's wrong about this, wrong about this, wrong about this." No, all he talked about was, "Our experts aren't good enough for you." But he didn't have one. He knew better than to say anything about Jack Chick, because you know why? Jack Chick ain't saying hardly. Jack Chick is not saying any lies. Or at least I haven't seen him yet. Now, you folks, feel free to bring him up to me if I missed something. But I noticed very little that Jack Chick says wrong. And here's this guy going nuts. But he's not, but never about, "Oh, that Jack Chick's such a liar. Jack Chick's just this." He's just mad someone said his name. Now, why is that? Is that because you might want to cover some things up? Is that because if someone actually went and checked out Jack Chick and they started learning about the Eustache they start learning about the Hitler-Vatican connection, and they start learning about how the Vatican gets all this money from taxpayers and all this other stuff. Do you think that people might go, wow, this is the New World Order? What's all this Bilderberg stuff? Why is Alex Jones talking about Bilderberg? Why isn't he talking about the Vatican? See, Alex Jones doesn't want you to think that. And so people like WND and Alex Jones, they all work with the enemy to keep the wool pulled over your eyes. They don't want you to wake up, folks. They're a bunch of liars who do not want you to wake up. And that's all I gotta say. Later.